Well, I mean, that's not the only case. I mean, it seems like there's this pattern here. But one story that I want to touch on is the tale of two brothers almost. The Reliance Industries and Reliance ADAG,
That's
where
right.
you had both companies started out with a lot of debt. One is quite obviously withered away and is not quite prominent, and the other is flying high. Why don't we break down what happened with Reliance ADAG, I guess, to understand, where things went wrong and what bad decisions were made, and sort of try and contrast it with how Reliance Industries sort of pulled themselves out of that debt hole.
That's why I think really the saga between the two brothers and the Reliance Group is a fabulous case study for all family-run businesses, as well as from a management and a financial perspective as well. So after the demise of Dhirubhai Ambani, who was a leading entrepreneur and created a great deal of wealth, there was a split in the empire. It was an equal split where Reliance Industries went to Mukesh Ambani, and the telecom business, the power business, and the financial services business that went to Anil Ambani. But those businesses were smaller than the pure refining, plastic, the oil to chemical business of Reliance Industries. So there was a lot of capital or cash also given to Anil Ambani and the Anil Ambani group companies, so that he could use that particular cash to grow the businesses, to acquire new businesses. And at some point of time, I was there when the Anil Ambani group was born, and Mr. Anil Ambani came on the stage and announced sort of his business plan and his vision. And I clearly remember him saying that the sunrise industries were the financial services industry with Reliance Capital with him, and the telecom industry. And he was very positive on the media industry. So these were sunrise industries. At that point of time, there was a lot of investor interest and a lot of fancy around these businesses because they had great growth momentum. But what happened was a complete nightmare for the ADAG group companies. And the real reason for that, if you were to pin it down, is cash flows. So while the split was equal on asset basis, maybe on profit basis, and whichever parameter, but Reliance Industries had the cash flow from the refining and the plastics business, and the Anil Ambani group companies were always negative cash flow because the businesses were such, they were nascent businesses, they need a lot of investment, and there were certain regulatory constraints as well, especially in Reliance Power, which was in Reliance Infrastructure as well. So the power infrastructure was highly capital intensive. Telecom business also capital intensive and a lot of competition coming in over there. Media business was not that big a pie, but nonetheless, it required its own capital and it required its own servicing over there. So what happened was that because of the lack of cash flows, the companies got into a debt trap, and one by one.
So I have a question here in particular, because I remember this saga playing out in the Supreme Court as well.
That's right.
Because we talk a lot about the cash flows, and I believe one of the key agreements was that Reliance Industries would supply gas to Reliance Power at, I think, 2.8, 2.4 something.
That's right, yeah.
Dollars per MMBTU. But the government price set was $4.2 per MMBTU. And I mean, it seems to me like that decision in particular effectively shifted a lot of cash flow from what could have been, Reliance Power's cash flows to fund their growth to Reliance Industries. Do you think
that was a big setback, Varun, no doubt, but there were a lot of mistakes made also. And unfortunately, the telecom business also got hit by intense competition, and eventually Reliance Industries also got into the fray over there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the entire power business was impacted because of this particular issue. And power is a long gestation business, and a lot of constraints are there, a lot of controls are there at what price you can sell the power. You needed power purchase agreements. There were delays in implementation.
A lot of very working capital intensive, because I guess your key purchases are the discoms, and they're not going to pay out until the dogs come home.
Exactly. So a lot of things went wrong, and banks, investors, all of us took a hit because of, I would say, bad fortune and mistakes combined together, which resulted in the ADAG group completely imploding.
Really sad story, but I guess maybe let's contrast it with how those cash flows are used by Reliance Industries, because Reliance Industries in particular is flying high right now.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
How exactly
Absolutely.
did Reliance Industries get out of that and avoid that debt trap completely?
So, the thing about Reliance Industries is that you have to hand it over to Mukesh Bhai, truly a visionary and a clear successor to Dhirubhai, where Reliance Industries for many years also was under the kind of a cloud of debt. Not that they had any problem servicing that debt ever, but the street always perceived that the balance sheet had too much debt on its books, and the return on equity, return on capital was on the lower side. And Reliance Industries was adding capital assets at a breakneck speed. They invested very heavily into telecom. They invested very heavily into retail as well, and that had taken up a lot of capital of the company. And therefore, the stock price for many years, I think, went sideways. Almost 8 to 10 years went.
I think
nowhere.
from 08 to 2017 almost, it
That's right.
pretty much went nowhere.
That's right. 17, 18, because the markets did well, it of course did well as well, the stock. But the inflection point was from 2019-20 onwards, and the clear inflection point was when he started selling stake, first in Reliance Jio and thereafter in Reliance Retail as well, to a clutch of foreign investors and strategic investors like Facebook, and very marquee investors came.
I believe, I don't remember this accurately, but I believe there was a point when Aramco was very interested in investing in Reliance Industries.
That didn't work out.
Yeah.
That didn't work out. You're nice for sure remember, but it's always in the past now. That didn't work out because Aramco had its own set of issues, and then the oil markets also went into a tizzy. But that was the smartest thing which Reliance Industries did, is to dilute capital at very fair valuations. And all of a sudden, we all discovered the kind of value that was created. It deleveraged the balance sheet significantly, and then you've seen the stock price go up 5-6 times or so.
Hopefully our viewers at this point will hopefully try and put it up, but hopefully at this point our viewers will be able to see how over the last 12 years, how the price of Reliance Industries has grown exponentially, in particular when their debt to equity came down.